I was born in South Boston, Virginia, which you've probably heard of Dansville, Virginia, and it's right there. And there was a lot of Fords down there, had a lot of relatives. However, I left when I was very young, my sister and I, and we moved to Albany, New York. And I have two brothers, and they were born in Albany, New York. And so once we got there, we kind of always thought we were from Albany because we were that young when we got to Albany. And but we always went back to visit relatives, and we always knew the place where we were born, and we still, it's changed a lot now, but we do still have relatives down there. And we grew up in Albany, and we were, my dad was worked on the train, and he was a porter on the train. So at that time, when it first started, we didn't know what that was, but then we got to know that, and it was a pretty nice job back then, being a porter on a train. And we grew up in a community where we had both white and black people living, and pretty much on the same level at that time. And some were nice and some were not so nice, but my mom taught us always to be kind to others, and they would be kind to us, and sometimes that worked and sometimes it didn't, but we had to listen to that. And we did church all the time. We were in church, and we learned a lot of Christian principles, and to do, don't do anything to others that you don't want them to do to you. And I thought that was very funny then, because we didn't quite understand it, but as we got older, we understood what we were told to do, and we tried to live that way. Sometimes it's very difficult to live that way, but we did, and it has been very, very good to us. And we've been able to fit in places that normally probably we wouldn't be able to if we had not listened and been kind to other people and tried to do things for them. And that's what our mom really, I think she was overboard with that we have to, she said, we don't have a lot, but what we have, we're gonna share when we can. And that's what we did. And so as we grew older, this is what we tried to share with our own children, that you have to be kind to others, and it will prove to be good for you in the end. And building and working in the community, trying to give back to the community. Once you get what you are trying to get and do, you need to share it with the community and help others. And that happens through working with community centers, also in our churches and in our schools. And as an educator, I think it's very, very important that we are good to our children in schools and show we can help them by being kind to them and showing them that you care about what you're doing and that you're willing to help the students. And I think that so many of our children have learned through me that way, because I always treated them like they were my own children. And in doing that, you can get children to do almost anything, and they think they can't do it, and you just keep on working with them and working with the parents. And doing that, I think that that's one of my really traits that I try to do it till this day, to work in the community and to work with the children and with the parents. Yeah, my mother was very, very active in the Federated Women's Clubs from the local level. She was a president, and then she was on the regional level. And they started a group for young girls, and my sister and I were in the club, and we really learned a lot from the adults as to how you work in the community, why you work in the community to help do good for those that need it. And we did that, and then as time went on, they started us to learning how to be oratorical speakers and get preparing for college, and you could get money for scholarships if you did well, and I did very well in that area. And then I was encouraged to be an officer, and then finally I was a president, and then I got to go to Washington, D.C., to the White House when President John F. Kennedy was the president, and we delivered a beautiful portrait of Frederick Douglass to his office, and Dr. Rosa Gregg was the national women's president, and I was the national girls president, and that means so much to me now, probably more than it ever did when I was younger. But I really will never forget it, and I do have pictures looking up at the president, and then people from all over the country found out where I lived, and they sent it was in Jet, the little Jet magazine, and explaining how I got there and why, and that was one of the greatest things that I do remember starting out. And then when I came to Buffalo, I became a member of the Lit Muse Study Club, and that was one of the federated clubs here in Buffalo. And I met Mrs. Chappelle, and Mary Chappelle, and she was just an adorable person who really taught you so much, and I will never forget the things that she mentored me, and I just loved it. I think trying to, go in the college, first of all, it was very difficult in high school because our high school was very, the prejudice, it was very difficult because we also experienced prejudices when we were in high school, and we were told that we would probably not go to college by our teachers, and Mom, when we shared that with our mother was active in the PTA, and she became the president, and she would go to school and talk to the principal and the teachers about what our goals were, and she just kept at it, and we kept at it, and finally we we graduated and we applied to schools, and we were able to get into, I went to Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, and Dr. Charles, he was the president, and he was just the most wonderful man that helped all of the students there and told us that we could do and be whatever we wanted to be. And that's why I feel the way I feel about learning and teaching and working in the community to this day, because people helped me and my sister and my brothers. Well, you have to really know that education, it's very important, and there's all levels of education. We've got to learn how to want to do good around the community and in our homes, and get help if we need help. And when people are trying to mentor us, to be, to work with the people that are doing that, and you will make it. It will. I think about it all the time, how I can be helpful with our students, and I give back from pre-K right up to high school.